Xiao Yan's figure slowly suspended in the sky above this continent, squinting eyes looking at the exploding light column in front of him. Calm eyes for many years suddenly became hot. Bumbling, these decades of cultivation almost let me forget the feeling of fighting. Xiao Yan felt something and suddenly opened his eyes, staring at the pillar of light in front of him with a look of surprise in his eyes. And just when this pillar of light burst, the four sides of the strong also came one after another. Just in a short moment of space, gathered countless new generation of strong. At that time Xiao Yan rescued the medicine family of two people on the nihilistic Swallow Yan has begun to renew the blood. The ancient people also gave birth to a lot of new generation of strong people, Gu Li and Gu Mei. These two people are the representatives of the ancient people, and they reached the strength of fighting Zun at a young age. Taixu Gulan naturally is not backward with such a momentum. I am afraid that in the future, this part of the world will be born more wonderful legends. Gu Yuan and Candlecan hang close to Xiao Yan. Eyes cannot stop looking at the pillar of light, whispered, "This is the gateway to another continent?" The strong men standing around turned their heads one after another. Xiao Yan frowned a little and nodded. At this time, the people standing within 1,000 miles of the light column felt that the light column had a strange energy sucking and pulling the struggle in their bodies. The faces of Guan and Candlecan changed slightly, and they quickly moved up to protect their bodies. Then they retreated again and again. Their eyes were full of surprise. Only Xiao Yan did not move, and still looked up at them so closely. "This is the Emperor's source chi." Xiao Yan's sudden one shocked, a strong feeling rose from the heart. The palm of the light column desperately grasping the outside, one after another Guan, Candlecan, even several big strong looking at Xiao Yan. So, though the importance of this thing also have collected, Xiao Yan caught the source of the Emperor Qi in a short time. There are some Emperor source Qi on the continent. With this Emperor's source of gas, they will likely be promoted to Do Emperor, and such a distance under the Guan Candlecan was extremely strong pressure. This pressure comes from the great light column. This rich Emperor's source of gas is not Guan Candlecan. These non-Do Emperor strong can withstand. Even Xiao Yan's body is slightly trembling. After catching a lot of Emperor source Qi, Xiao Yan turned down, hugged Xun Yi's slender willow waist, and buried her shoulders, and gently said, "Don't worry about me, take good care of the children. Xuna, wait for me to come back." Xun Yi's delicate body shook slightly. Xiao Yan wants to go, and is to an unknown world. She how willing, how not to worry, but she knew that Xiao Yan was not only her man, but also the strongest man in this continent, always pursuing the supreme position. So she said softly with great reluctance, "Outside is not like the angry mainland, less brave, take more care of yourself." Xiao Yan smiled, nodded, and responded. At this moment, a resentful voice in her ears sounded, "Hashun, you allowed me, but I didn't allow it." A beautiful shadow appeared in the sky, with a tremor. Light Xiao Yan was surrounded by colored scales. Xiao Yan was terrified at first, and then smiled at the color scale. He did not know how to express his feelings. He had no choice but to ask Shuna for help. Looking at Xiao Yan with a poor expression, Shuna could not help but burst into laughter. But before Shuna spoke, Color Scale said angrily, "Don't let Shuna persuade me. It's useless anyway. I can't let you go so easily. So big family, and so many children. Let Shuna and I take care of how you think good." Around a dry people look at the couple, can only laugh. Xiao Yan is also helpless. Shun hurriedly leaned over to the Color Scale, smiled and said, "Color Scale sister, Xiao Yan brother is a big man after all, like adventure. You let him go, or I will take the child later." Color Scale smelled speech, looked at the son of Shun, and looked at Xiao Yan, begging, helpless, waving hands. Well, you'd better come back to me intact. If you are missing a hair, I will peel your skin. I don't want children without father, or him. See how I pick you up." Xiao Yan expression, a little dull. Color Scale, how to listen to some infiltration of people. He quickly put his hand in his hand, and said with a laugh, "Thank you, wife, don't worry, I will come back intact." With a wave of his hand, several light balls appeared in front of Xiao Yan. "This is the Emperor's source of Qi. With it you can break through to the Do Emperor, and then you can use it when you reach the breakthrough day." With that he waved a few light balls to the Color Scale, Shuna, Guan Candlecan, so on. Ladies and gentlemen, after I leave I hope you can help take care of the Xia nationality. Xiao Yan is here to thank Xiao Yan all around to see off the strong hand. He wants to leave. The only worry is Xia nationality cannot have any mistakes. Now Xiao Yan is full of children. Then after Xiao Yan was promoted to Do Emperor due to the activation of the blood power, all Xiao Yan's closest relatives were benefited by the blood power, and their strength was easily promoted like a boat in just a few years. The Xiao Yan became the first of several great families with amazing development. It is indispensable that Xiao Yan, the Yan Emperor, sits in the town. Don't worry with the old husband. what will go wrong for the Xiao people? Guan looked up and smiled, looking at the young man dressed in black in the distance. The heart cannot help but sigh. Just a short decades, an ignorant young man suddenly grew into the peak existence on the mainland. Really, some people envy her. There is me, rest assured, Xiao Yan. Here it is over to us. I and the ancient head will break through the Do Emperor as soon as possible, and then go to you. Candlecan stepped forward and patted his chest and said, now with the source of the Emperor's chi, it is only a matter of time for them to advance to the Do Emperor. How could Xiao Yan will come to meet them when the time comes? Xiao Yan thanked him with his hands, and he felt relieved about the Xiao clan. Dad. With a tender call, a beautiful image rushed into Xiao Yan's arms. It was none other than Xiao Xiao. Now Xiao Xiao is 11 or 12 years old. She looks just like her mother, and has a charming face. I am afraid ordinary people can't bear her. After all these years of growth, Xiao's strength really let the old guy spurt blood. Xiao's body has the mother's blood coupled with Xiao Yan's blood. The strength unexpectedly erupted to the 9 stars. With Xiao's growth degree, I'm afraid the strength of the color scale in the future is not as good as it. Xiao Yan fondly stroked Xiao's head and said with a smile, Xiao Xiao, Daddy will be back soon. You should take care of the Xiao people for Daddy. Xiao Yan held Xiao Xiao away and pinched her nose. Xiao Xiao immediately became serious and said seriously like an adult, yes, no problem. Dad, don't worry. Dad, you see my master is coming too, and he pointed behind Xiao Yan. Teacher. Xiao Yan turned his head. An old figure reflected in Xiao Yan's dark eyes. Xiao Yan suddenly appeared excited. He is an ignorant boy in Wutan City. It is under the shelter of this old figure to thrive. If not him, Xiao Yan may be worthless, even long ago dead. Where can have today's achievements? Oh, Lao smiled with relief, recalling the young man who still needed his own protection. Now he has grown up to be the overlord of the continent, which is really filled with emotion. Be careful yourself. Now the teacher can't help you anything, but after you go out and make a name for yourself, let the teacher go with you to see. Haha, medicine old haha laugh. Xiao Yan smiled. The teacher is still the same as before. With a wave of his hand, Xiao Yan shot several pills and light balls at Yao Lao. They said slowly, disciples obey the teacher's teachings. Teacher, this is the disciple to honor you. I wish the teacher to advance to the Do Emperor early. This is Xiao Yan, these years specially prepared for the old medicine of the 9 products of the Golden Dan. Just obtained the source of the Emperor Chi. Lao looked at the objects in his hands, and his eyes flashed with a wave. Candlecan Ancient Yuan looked at medicine veteran. Several flashing Golden Dan medicine cannot help but envy the 9 products of Golden Dan. I'm afraid that no one can match it on the continent, because it is always by the king of the strong hand refining. Not the general Golden Dan can be compared. Will you go be more careful yourself? Yao Lao nodded. That his grace to his disciples. Xiao Yan has no teeth to forget. Please be a disciple of worship. Xiao Yan suddenly knelt down and made a moving sound, as if heaven and earth were moved. Xiao Yan heavy knock a few heads. Eyes a very grateful color, recalling the previous dribs and dribs. How can let him not move? Xiao Yan slowly rose and said no more. His figure, like a meteor, cut through the sky and swept away toward the passage. He suddenly disappeared between heaven and earth. Behind him came a mighty voice of farewell. Send Yandi to you, long live Yandi. Xiao Yan is a legend in the fighting land, and his deeds will be passed down from generation to generation and through the ages. The blue column of light is full of violent energy, even if such as Guan Candlecan. Such a fight against the peak of the strong, 1,000 miles away from the column of light, still feel the strong transverse energy of the column of light. If you go in, and I'm afraid it will be immediately crushed by the energy of the column of light fury. Now I'm afraid that only Xiao Yan has such power to enter, and even Xiao Yan is not clear what will happen in Yandi, the strongest continental. And do not be careless. You can see how strong this light column is. With his feet in the void, Xiao Yan stepped directly into the pillar of light, and then the pillar of light disappeared. On this continent, as a man who once saved the angry continent, Xiao Yan has occupied a sacred position in the hearts of all the strong people. All people can't help worrying about him. After all, it is an unknown space, and no one knows what will happen on this fighting continent. Why is there no Do Emperor left? Can it be said that with the passage of time, the ancient Do Emperor also fell with the corrosion of time, or like Xiao Yan were taken away from this world? This is a mystery no one knows. The story continues. Please wait for me to update.